Hello, Mikko. How are you? Thanks for joining.
Very good. Thank you very much for having me.
How is life going in Helsinki? How are you? How are things?
Right now it's snowing outside, so
Really?
we're waiting for spring, but it isn't here exactly yet.
How are things going in your industry about work?
Well, data security industry is in a difficult position right now because our services are required more than ever before in the middle of this pandemic. But of course, like any other company, we are fully remote ourselves, and all of our employees, all of our researchers, and all of our coders are.
How online crimes have increased during this pandemic? These posts, they've increased during the pandemic, and what are the industries which were affected? Individuals as well.
Yes, it's true. We are seeing different kind of attacks during these unusual times. Now, whenever there is some big news item, regardless of what the topic is, we very quickly start seeing scam emails using these big topics. Mm-hmm. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has been one of those topics. Emails and emails, malicious attached messages. This isn't really that surprising. Like I said, this happens with any big news item. So the fact that it happens with the pandemic is to be expected. What we're seeing in addition of this normal activity is that we are seeing attacker groups, especially ransomware groups, who have been targeting medical organizations during these. And it seems to be that medical organizations, including hospitals and medical research organizations, are under a lot of stress right now. And if they are hit, however, the most likely attack the average person might receive, which is related to the pandemic, might be a fraud email or maybe a fraud WhatsApp message or text message warning you, for example, that your neighbor has been tested positive for the coronavirus and please follow this link in order to get more information. Be very careful when you get messages like that. Think twice before you click on any links. Think twice before you open any attachments.
Last week, you made a poll on your Twitter account and asked people if they will be willing to send their information to health authorities to fight with the pandemic, to fight with the COVID-19. What is the result? How do people react to this?
Technology can have a major impact in shortening how long this lockdown lasts. Now, we are all carrying mobile for ourselves all the time, locate where people are. And this has been used in some countries, for example, to make sure that people who have been exposed and who are in quarantine stay in quarantine based on the movements of their phones. So this is why I made a poll for my 200,000 Twitter followers asking that would you be willing to share your physical location based on your phone to medical experts? And 65% of the people who follow me, who answered the poll, said that they would not share their location, even in the middle of the pandemic, which is a very interesting result. But then again, maybe my followers are a little bit special and maybe they think more about their privacy than everyday people. Regardless of the result of the poll, my poll, which said that 65% of people don't want to share their location, I believe that mobile technology can play a major part in shortening how long the lockdown lasts. Since we should not be tracking location of people, then we should be tracking something else, and that is proximity to other phones. And this is the initiative which has now been built in many different countries around the world. And last week, both Apple and Google made announcements on a new API interface which can be used to do tracking based on Bluetooth. So the idea here is that people will be running this special app on their phone which doesn't track their location at all. But whenever you're close to another person which runs the same app, your phones will exchange messages. And then if one of you turns out to be carrying the information that he's now infected to everyone he's seen over the last 2 weeks. And this doesn't increase the risk to our privacy at all, because there's no personally identifiable information stored at all. There's no location information stored at all. And if we do the exchange of the information on which phones have seen each other's right, this is actually a fairly effective way of preserving users' privacy, but still being able to figure out who's been close to who, which means you should go and get tested because you've been close to another person who has turned out to be carrying the disease.
With the increase of e-commerce during the pandemic, we also read that so many fake websites are increasing as well. What should people do to protect themselves? How should consumers protect themselves from these fake websites?
The way we purchase things has changed during the pandemic because we're trying to minimize the amount of time we're spending outside of our homes. So online shopping is the obvious solution. There's been a huge growth in online shopping. And for example, Amazon is thriving right now because of the sales, which has gone through the roof. Mm-hmm. As this kind of phenomenon is going around the world, scammers are trying to capitalize on it as well. So we're seeing different kinds of attacks, trying to make people fall for online commerce scams, fake shops, fake purchase systems, or just phishing, trying to steal access to real commerce sites. So as always, when you put in your credit card number to a website, when you put in the username and password to a website, stop for a moment and look at the address bar and make sure you actually are on the website that you think you are. If you are logging in to a commerce site or online shopping site, just take a look at the address and make sure it is the right site before you put in your password.
Working from home, we are using our work laptops. One thing with privacy and security, what should employers and employees do at the same time?
Many of us have already been doing remote working before the pandemic, but not everybody. And now everybody who can is working remotely. This means that not only the laptops, which normally already travel the world, are now outside the office. Even the normal desktop computers used by, I don't know, architects or developers, they've taken them out of the office and into their homes. And this means that these machines have never been outside of the corporate network before. They've never had, for example, a VPN solution encrypting their network before. Things that the home users should worry about is things like not letting outsiders use your work laptops. Things that employers should think about is making sure that the new networks these corporate computers are connecting to should be safe. So for example, making sure that their employees have a password on their home Wi-Fi. Make sure that their employees have changed the default password on their home routers. So the networks where these computers now are should be safe. Watch Netflix on your work laptop. You don't give your, that's not what you do with your tools. We are professionals and we take pride in keeping our tools in great order.
When do you think this is going to finish?
Right now, nobody knows how long this will last, but it must finish as quickly as possible. The estimates on how much this costs to societies around the world every week, it has to be in billions and billions of dollars or euros every week. So if we can shorten this by just a day or just a week, that actually makes a huge difference. So if technology is able to help shortening the amount of lockdowns, that's great. And that kind of technology solution, it actually doesn't matter how much it costs, because the costs of lockdown are already so huge. So this is an unusual environment for us to work in, and I can't wait for the lockdown to be behind us.
So what's waiting for us at the end of this? Are any new digital transformation or what?
I do believe we will see much more remote work in the future. I also believe that many of the events and conferences which used to be in the real world, will move to the online world, because now everybody has seen how this works. Of course, real world meetings and real world conferences have great benefits. The fact that you can meet face to face at the very same time. Many of the meetings we do nowadays for our work colleagues are much more effective. They are often much more shorter. They have much better agenda, because we know that it's an online meeting where everything has to be done very precisely for it to work. So there are benefits. We are learning new ways of working, and that is the upside of the lockdown.
I see. Thank you very much, Mikko, and we are looking forward to talking to you again soon. Many thanks and take care. Stay safe.
Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.